a workplace, there should be policies in place. What would policies do? They would actually assist us to have a guideline to also we manage consistency as well as expectations from the employee.
Previously, it was easy just to say handpick. We're promoting Nell into this particular role, right? We've been working with Nell. We see the opportunity and we're just promoting. Now, how has it changed? How's the work market changed or evolved? Whereas you might have, let's say, for example, 3 people in a certain role. How do you then select? Where's the transparency, the openness, the equal opportunities for all in that particular instance?
I've come across a lot of such challenges, particularly where promotion is concerned on unfair labor practice, because it's the unspoken,
of course,
piece which makes it very dynamic. Why was I not successful?
Hi guys, you are watching CouchTalk with LHS, where we have meaningful conversations about HR-related topics, leadership, culture, entrepreneurship, and the ever-evolving workplace. I am your host, Nell Mbele, aka Boss Lady, and today we have a full room today. I've got a couple of guests, people that I'm going to introduce today. So firstly, let me introduce Bridget Nkhensani. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. I know you're waiting for that. We also have Mamululeka. Yes, Nkhensani, how are you?
Well, and you?
I'm okay, thank you. Now, because of these cameras, I've got a prepared speech. Well, this is what I'm going to say, and when they start, then I forget. Can I do it the original way?
Go for it.
Minjani says.
Minjani.
Thank you very much. We also have our ghost guest today, Mr. Herman Mabelebele. How are you, sir?
Ghost gentleman.
Oh,
You're surrounded by ladies.
You are surrounded by ladies. How are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we're just going to refer to you as ghost gentleman.
Yes.
Okay. Just before we start with today's episode, right? Maybe just as a form of intro, I'm just going to give it to both you ladies just to introduce yourselves, and then we can just touch base on what we're going to be talking about. Nkhensani, can I start with you?
Sure. So, my name is Nkhensani Maluleke from NT Maluleke Incorporated. It's a law firm which specializes in labor law. I'm an attorney. That's my background with HR experience. So, I worked in the HR for about 15 years, and then I moved to the law profession as an attorney. And that's me.
Thank you. We're still going to touch base about the shift and the transferring from into law. Bridget, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Bridget Nkhensani. I'm also a labor relations practitioner who's passionate about well-being in the workplace, as well also in terms of the well-being of employees. I've been in the space of labor relations for about a decade now, and it's such a very good space to be in working on. And yeah.
No, not all the time. Not all the time. She's the one that keeps us in check at the office. She's keeping us in check. So for today's episode, we're going to touch on unfair labor practice, and particular to that, promotions, right? It's going to be a bit different because we've received an anonymous letter. So I'm going to go through the anonymous letter, and then from there, just so that we can dissect the topic, because I want us to have an interactive session about this whole thing, because it is a topical discussion where people are sometimes scared to talk about these topics in the workplace. What's right and what's wrong? We don't have to go too technical, because we want our listeners to also, or viewers to also just follow. So the letter that came through is coming from a concerned employee, to whom it may concern. I'm writing anonymously because I'm concerned about how promotion decisions are being handled in our workplace, and I fear retaliation if I speak openly. Over the past year, I've noticed patterns in our promotion processes that raise questions about fairness and transparency. In several instances, positions have been advertised internally, but it appeared that a preferred candidate had already been identified before interviews even took place. This had created a perception that some job postings exist only as a formality rather than a genuine opportunity for all qualified employees. Additionally, there seems to be a trend where individuals with personal relationships with management are more likely to be promoted. While I understand the networking plays a role in career growth, it becomes concerning when it appears to overweigh merit, experience, and performance. Another issue is the lengthy delays in promotion decisions. Some employees have applied for roles and waited months without clear communication or feedback. This uncertainty affects morale and can make the process feel arbitrary or poorly managed. I'm also worried about how certain groups may be disadvantaged. For example, I've observed that women, employees with diverse backgrounds, and colleagues with disabilities are less frequently promoted, even when they meet or exceed the qualifications for higher roles. While there may be no explicit bias, the outcome suggests that the process may not be as equitable as it should be. In one instance, an employee who recently returned from maternity leave was overlooked for promotion, despite previously being considered a strong candidate. Situations like this raise concerns about whether unconscious bias may be influencing decisions. I believe that promotions should be based on clear, objective criteria, applied consistently and transparently. Employees should feel confident that they are being evaluated fairly and that opportunities are genuinely open to all. I hope this letter encourages an honest discussion about how promotion practices can be improved to ensure fairness, transparency, and compliance within labor standards. Mouthful. It's heavy. It was just as heavy
It's loaded.
as I was reading. It is loaded because I mean we're encompassing a couple of things in this particular, in this particular letter. We're talking about different things. Maybe Nkhensani, can I just start with you just to unpack it a little bit?
For a minute, I was asking myself, are we talking about one workplace?
Right? No, absolutely.
I paused and I asked myself, is this in one working environment?
Absolutely.
Because it's just a cocktail of everything that encompasses promotions. You touched based on discrimination. I got that sense that it features heavily.
Absolutely.
I get a sense that there is what you would call mjolo in the office that influences opportunities. I get a sense that recruitment is also an issue in terms of
Absolutely.
because if there is a promotion, there must be a vacancy which is perceived to be higher than where people are who are eligible. So it's a cocktail of a lot of issues, and I think I like the fact that these are things which affect me, but I am scared to raise
them
for fear of being victimized.
Absolutely.
Because just now you've raised that issue and you are targeted to be someone who is constantly complaining because you're not going to be liked by those you are challenging because you're challenging a way of doing things. But then we go back to say at the end of the day, it all boils down to a fair labor practice.
Where the pattern that they've also spoken about was transparency and that openness, when we're dealing with all of these things. Maybe just to break it down, because I mean, like you said, it is a cocktail of a lot of things. Maybe this particular person didn't experience this directly, but like he's saying, they're sharing. Oh, now here I am saying it's a he. I don't.
You're assuming.
I'm assuming. Right? So they're talking about a couple of things. So if we break it down, because you've already hinted on some of these subtopics. For example, recruitment is included. Discrimination is included. Let's maybe, Bridget, on your side, in terms of discrimination, where they're talking about the different groups of people experiencing some of these things. What is your take on that?
Okay, when it comes to discrimination, I think even when one has to put a claim to say there's discrimination, you should have evidence to back that, or you should be able to say this is the criteria that is in place for a recruitment to take place. I think I would start in the place where you would say in a workplace there should be policies in place. What would policies do? They would actually assist us to have a guideline to also we manage consistency as well as expectations from the employees. So let's say we have a recruitment policy. That means it guides us in terms of how are we going to manage our processes as well and expectations from employees. Also coming from the point of discrimination, it's a point where one would then have to identify why are you saying, is it based on gender, is it based on race, or is it based on what category are you using into that, and what do you use to base that? So it's a bit of where an employee will have to then have backup or evidence to prove that, because when you claim discrimination, or rather you claim unfair fair practice, the burden of proof lies within the employee.
Absolutely.
You need to demonstrate that there was an ability for you to be promoted, but however, there was an unfair criteria that was followed for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Because I'm gonna just
It all boils down to evidence. I think whatever claim, whatever assertion that you make, you have to be able to back it up with evidence.
Absolutely.
The complexity about the workplace is that often your evidence might involve other individuals who are in the workplace who don't want to be party to these issues that you're raising. They are affected, but they're not bold enough to actually back it up. So it becomes a challenge for the employee who observes these things and they want to bring some form of fairness and some form of structure. Because often you are alone and you might be segregated because of raising these things. So you pretty much have to wear a thick skin, but again, it is about law. We all have to follow what the law says, and we all have to abide by it. But whether in practice people actually do it is the big question.
It's a different thing.
Question.
But again, I like also what you ladies are also saying, because in anything and everything that we do, we're guided by a policy, a regulatory framework that guides our practice, right? So again, because we've got two sides, sometimes, yes, people don't actually do it. Sometimes there's reasons to it, because with employment equity, there might be, in terms of our plan, these are the kind of people that we are looking at. Those are factors that but now I think is the question then the communication and educating your employees in that instance, because yes, there are some claims where recruitment process can be jeopardized. We follow a specific recruitment process, then the hiring manager says, I've got this. But where does HR come in that particular instance?
So HR comes in facilitation of assisting line to make it happen, but also communicating, making sure that we are all aligned to the same human resource plan that we have. So you become sort of the guard and that's where people become, they get very confused to think HR is lying. I hear employees complaining about the kind of things that there is, and they say, but it's HR responsibility to make sure. They're confusing that it's actually your line manager's responsibility to do certain things. HR just needs to guide on the process.
Absolutely.
So just to separate the roles in terms of who is who in the zoo is also very important in corporate, or in a business rather. Because it can be confusing to say who is who when it comes to conduct of an employer, and as in who actually holds the responsibility to make things happen. It's actually largely the line partner, who your direct manager who should make it happen, assisted by HR.
Yes. So can I just ask, because I'm going to take it back, as much as, this, unfair labor practice is quite broad. We know that. Specifically from this letter as well, focus is quite broad. So when we're talking then in a sense of promotions, where previously it was easy just to say handpick, we're promoting Nell into this particular role, right? We've been working with Nell, we see the opportunity and we're just promoting. Now, how has it changed? How's the work market changed or evolved whereas you might have, let's say for example, 3 people in a certain role. How do you then select? Where's the transparency, the openness, the equal opportunities for all in that particular instance? Here's our ghost. I was very right.
Surfacing.
Thank you, Ms. Mbele. I think our employees or prospective employees who are candidates for promotion, I think there's one thing that they need to understand. There's no absolute right to promotion. Everything is by managerial prerogative, so to speak. But then in the workplace, like you said, if there's 3 candidates who are equally qualified,
yes.
The Labor Relations Act makes provisions for procedures. Those procedures will be your recruitment policies, and they have to be applied to the latter, because the essence and the basic of unfair labor practice is how an employer handles a certain situation.
Yes.
An employer has to act fairly and reasonably, not capriciously or unfairly. So when we talk about procedure, what are your policies saying in terms of recruitment? And then we also go to the substance in terms of your reasoning as an employer in deciding to promote that particular employee.
Yes.
What are your reasons? So there are several factors. It's experience, when did this employee start, qualifications, and all those kind of things. So if you as the employer can apply your policies to the latter, which is procedural fairness, and if you can back it up with a fair reason to say I promoted this person because over this other 2 because of 1, 2, and 3 reasons. I don't see why your decision or your prerogative as an employer will be faltered. But if you scupper the whole process, then you are in it for the long run with the CCMA and ultimately with the labor code, depending on where
how far the
process goes. But fairness underpins our labor relations prescript. So to answer your question, I'll say apply your policies to the latter as an employee and have a fair basis why you elected to promote one employee over the other 2.
Okay.
And maybe just to add on what he's saying, I think most employees lose it when they think there is a legal entitlement to promotion. There's no legal entitlement when it comes to promotion. Because one would believe that I've been in an organization
for a very long time.
I'm the most senior.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely. But there is no entitlement when it comes to that. A fair criteria, I think it bends down back to a fair consistency as well as a clear policies within the company.
I also think that our job spec must be very clear. Because that's where ambiguity comes in. In a sense that what are the minimum requirements and what are the other requirements which are sometimes subjective to the interview panel. And that's where challenges normally creep in, where somebody feels that I was not considered or it wasn't fairly processed. So it's all those, they need to be clear, and clarification comes in communication. You know, when things are well communicated and they're more transparent, I think it really eliminates a lot of unhappiness and discontentment from employees.
Yeah, I think like you rightfully said that the entitlement should be eliminated. Basically, that's the first thing, right? Entitlement should be eliminated. The fact that I've been here for a long time or I've got this does not necessarily deem you to be a suitable candidate to be promoted, right?
Just to chip in there, yes, entitlement should not be one of the things that an employee relies on.
Oh, yes.
But remember, there are situations where an employer can create a reasonable expectation, a legitimate expectation, especially in acting position. You see, in government, you find people acting
for a very long time,
forever,
donkey years, and then now, when it comes. When the time for promotion comes, they advertise and all those things. They don't even shortlist that person. For example, that means the employer didn't give that employee who was acting that position a full opportunity to prove himself or herself.
Perhaps.
You know? Yes.
It's also unfair to that whoever we considering might not have had an acting opportunity. So we do not know how they would perform. The one who has acted, we're judging them based on their performance during their acting stint.
Yes.
And that acting period is also dicey because there's a lot you can't do because you're merely acting. So you're not giving carte blanche as a person who is permanent in the role. So it becomes fair and unfair to them.
No, you're right. Because, I mean, we're judging based on what you're currently doing now. Now we're not judging based on those pre-requirements. Prerequisites.
But at least shortlist them.
Because
give them an opportunity.
Yes.
They've been acting in the position for long, but at least shortlist them. Because they've been acting for a prolonged period of time. Therefore, as an employer, you create a legitimate expectation on their part that they might be promoted.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. Also,
best practice. Oh, do you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to say, yes, you might shortlist if they do meet the criteria that is actually put through. But I think also being in an acting position, it plays a disadvantage on the acting employee. Because now you've exposed your weaknesses to the panel, you've exposed your before the actual position was advertised.
Absolutely.
So,
but then what is the best practice then? How long should a person actually be
without? I don't think there's a because it varies.
It varies.
Environments vary. There are a lot of circumstances which makes it so different from one role to another, one organization to another. It's just that those are things that we should just be aware of. And I'm not saying people should shy away from acting. It's sometimes good because it does expose you, even if you don't get the role, but at least you've been exposed, and perhaps your weaknesses might have surfaced. It gives you an opportunity to work on them to be better positioned when something along those lines does come up.
On the question of how long, at least let your policy be specific, so that everyone in the employ gets an opportunity to act. It will be unfair now to make a person act for 3 years, 4 years. That is prolonged, and it creates a legitimate expectation that there might be something for me here in terms of my status being elevated. So if it is in your policy to say everyone will get an opportunity to act, at least for 2 months, 3 months, at least you level the playing field that way, and the issue of that legitimate expectation on the part of an employee, then it won't be there as much. But if your policy is silent, to your point, you spoke about Mjolo, people being promoted on Mjolo basis, someone being overlooked because she was pregnant, she came back from maternity leave. All those things are ameliorated by the policies that the employer has. Because every complaint that is brought forth by an employee is complaining about promotion and whatever, you just go to your policies, 100%.
And I think you're very right that the policy must be specific in terms of acting positions. However, remember that a business is a very dynamic entity in the sense that sometimes your policy may specify, however, the conditions on the ground do not allow for rotation for that acting role, because it does bring instability somewhat. You actually need someone to act for a longer period, or not by design, but it so happens that circumstances necessitate for that acting stint to be extended, and for you to change and make someone else to act makes it very complex. And that's why I'm saying you're very right that the policy must be specific. However, there must also be communication from the employer where circumstances are somewhat different.
Yes.
Because I think employers forget that employees are a key stakeholder and they need to be informed about the changes. If there are challenges, they need to be kept abreast with all the issues. I think it really assists in making the workplace more seamless, because circumstances can make it very difficult to apply the policy
to the T. That's why we normally say in HR each case sometimes would be based on merit. That merit, because situations are different. Yes, you've got a guiding principle, right? This is what we use. But again, it's a guide. It also just helps us in terms of proving our case. It backs us up. But there might be certain situations that are beyond our control. But in that's where the communication comes in. And I think that's where a lot of people are missing all of this information, that if I've got a paper, which is very important, and I agree with you, we have to have policy.
Absolutely.
That's why I say to people, as much as you're an SME, a large corporation, you need to have policies.
Right? And how it's worded, your clauses in your policies are actually worded, must be somewhat allowing for flexibility, because that's where the challenge is. So that when it's interpreted, you can somewhat allow for those challenges to be accommodated
in that particular policy. Yes, no, definitely.
No, that's very true. I think also the main key that you touched is communication. I think transparency, and then boils back to you communicate with the employee. Please, can you act in this certain position? We're not sure how long it's going to take, or whatever the challenge that the organization is facing, so that even the employee will not have that expectation created to say, I might be a permanent or employee, or in this position I might be promoted. So yeah.
But to his point, 3 years is ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous.
There must be structure.
Exactly. What are we doing for that?
There must be structure.
Actually.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It does happen. It does happen in government and state institutions. For example, my former employer was a lecturer. She was given acting stints every now and then. They will advertise a position. When she applies, they withdraw. They will advertise. When she applies, they withdraw. Then what happened? She took them to the CCMA to say, look, I've been acting in this position for a very long time.
Rightfully so.
Every time I apply for an advertised position, they withdraw the advertisement. So essentially,
and she made the pre-requirements.
Yes, you made the pre-requirements.
Probably exceeded.
So,
it's probably
so basically, I'm being overlooked here for promotion, and I've been acting in this position for too long. And the CCMA and subsequently the Labour Court agreed with her. So fairness alone, and the procedure that you
followed.
I'm telling you, you will comply with the Labour Relations Act insofar as promotion is concerned. But if you are going to cut corners, you have a long thing coming.
I think I'm going to go back to your point in terms of being clear in your policy. That, you know what, our acting role or being in an acting capacity would take for so long. And I understand there's certain positions that are critical, core positions that may not necessarily take a shorter period. We still need to headhunt. However, if you open end, then that's where you leave the 3 years.
There must be structure.
There has to be structure. There has to, because again, what are we doing to the person that's acting in the company? Because we go back critical, our people, our key stakeholders. But then what message are we sending?
But there's also another dynamic. Often when you then consider an individual for promotion, they may meet the requirements in terms of the qualification, exposure, but you also have that other element, soft elements, which are always such a challenge. It's a challenge. And then I think to HR, that's where you come into advice line and how it lends and how you assist the individual if you are able to assist them. It's always such a challenge, and I've come across a lot of such challenges, particularly where promotion is concerned on unfair labor practice, because it's the unspoken
Of course.
piece which makes it very dynamic. Why was I not successful? And because of that, people tend to pretty much subscribe their, in fact, they tag the reason why they're not successful to race, to a lot of other discrimination elements, which may not be an issue. However, they become an issue because managers do not want to go and talk about the soft elements because it's dicey, it's tricky. You know, how do you then assist an employee with it?
I think on your what you're saying now, I think I will have to just go back. When an employee is in an organization, there's what we call performance reviews, KPAs and KPIs. Those are fundamentals within an organization. So when we're sitting down with my line manager, I need to be aware, what are my shortfalls? Okay, the manager needs to be aware, what is my goal in a certain period of time? Where do I see myself in 2 years or 1 year within the organization? So that would assist me to develop myself, or with the support of my line manager, to reach that certain goal. So I think those are the things that perhaps managers within organizations should look into, to say, let's not just tick the box when it comes to performance reviews. Let's just not do a tick box when it comes to KPIs and KPIs. Let's ensure that an employee is able to meet the goal, so that in a year or 2 years' time, you can also stand a chance for promotion. Because what you're saying in terms of soft skills, those unspoken skills, they are very crucial in positions. Not only do we require as an HR professional, where you require qualification, do you have this degree, do you have these years of experience, but what about this certain soft skill that you require? Do you have attention to detail? Are you able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So this is very crucial from where I stand as well.
Absolutely. Before you jump in, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I just want to add on what Bridget is saying. I think maybe just to, in depth, some of the things that we, maybe just to add on what you mentioned, would be, you've got an employee who is excellent in what they do. Like, we can't fault you. You've got the qualifications, you've got the experience, you are perfect. However, you're a hot mess to deal with.
Or your interpersonal skills suck.
They're just not there. You know, people don't want to deal with you because when you're always in a bad mood, you just don't know how to speak to people.
You should sit in a corner on a computer and just
do you understand what I mean?
Don't talk to anyone.
Those are the things that we also need to maybe just highlight. Yes.
No, I just wanted to say, remember the test in unfair labor practice is the fairness of the employer's conduct. So if you followed your procedure and one of your scoring sheets includes your soft skills, includes how you performed previously in your position as part of the scoring sheet, and you are able to tell that employee to say, we see you have all the qualifications, but on your soft skills, on your previous performance evaluation, you scored very badly compared to other candidates. That's why you were overlooked. Then your reason will pass the test of time in the CCMA and the Labour Court, because in the CCMA, commissioners there, they are not allowed to interfere with your reason. If they can see that you followed process, the scoring is there. And those candidates, remember, whoever takes you to the CCMA has to join the successful applicant. They will confirm, they will compare apples with apples to say, we see here, this one in terms of soft skills and previous performance evaluation, he or she was not scored a lower mark, but this one is 100%. Then at least there, if you compare apples with apples, then you are able, the commissioner is able to agree with you to say you were fair in your conduct. That is the test. Therefore, I have no reason to interfere whatsoever with your decision to promote
this particular person over the next.
I think that's where, again, policies come in terms of creating that structure.
Yes.
Because to do something like that, you must have structure. If you don't have structure, you're going to it poses a challenge to keep scoring sheets, and in terms of what you're scoring, why you are assigning such a score to this particular aspect. You know, everything has to be within reason. It must be reasonable, it must be justifiable. So structure, policy assists in the sense that it gives you structure. And with structure, you can support and back up whatever decision you make. So I think
so it's also very important then in terms of what we say for those particular positions. Be specific with what we're looking for, not necessarily the technical aspect only. Put it there in your scoring sheet that we're not just doing competency-based questioning. These are the other things that we are looking for into this particular person or the person that we would want in that role.